Hey ladies and gentlemen, thanks for the enthusiasm you guys have shown in the past couple of days. I really enjoyed having a conversation with you guys, which is of course the purpose of my channel. As you guys saw in the title, we're going to talk about another German tank, the Ferdinand. And thanks for the recommendation, Kevin. Furthermore, I'd like to set the goal of 40 subscribers at the end of the month. I hope we can reach it together. If you guys would like to follow my socials, they'll be on screen now. Now let's get right into the video. The Ferdinand was a German tank destroyer. It was designed from 1942 until 1943, and it was produced for a mere 3 months. The reason for this is that they made 100 chassis for the Tiger P. The P stands for Porsche. When the project was cancelled, they needed to do something with the 91 left chassis. It was ultimately decided to use these chassis for a new heavy tank destroyer, which became the Elephant. It had an 88mm Pak 43/2 L71 gun, which is very similar to the previously discussed Jagdpanther and Nashorn, which both had a slightly different version of the 88mm Pak 43 as well as the King Tiger. It had a much longer barrel than the L56 guns, which gave it a much higher muzzle velocity and fired a different, longer cartridge. In other words, it gave the 88mm L71 significant improved armor penetration ability over the earlier 88mm guns. As fitted, the gun was capable of 28 degrees traverse and -8 degrees and +14 degrees depression and elevation. This main armament was protected by 200mm of non-sloped armor. This also made the Ferdinand a very heavy tank. It was 65 tons, which is so far the heaviest tank we've discussed. This poses a lot of issues. The heavier the tank means more stress on your engine and suspension. It is also more likely to break down, and without the right engine it is very slow, which was certainly the case for the Ferdinand, since it's actually the slowest tank we've discussed so far. It is also more difficult to move if it breaks down, and don't even get me started on bridges. I must say that I'm not very surprised by its low top speed. Its top speed was a mere 30 km an hour. The Ferdinand has two 296 horsepower Maybach HL 120 TRM engines. Its operational range was also very short. Like I said in the previous video, anything above the 200 km is above average. The Ferdinand, however, could only drive 150 km. It had a crew of 6 members: the driver, radio operator, commander, gunner and 2 loaders. Now we come on to the fun part, combat history. Its first deployment was at the Battle of Kursk in 1943, Operation Citadel, the biggest tank battle in history, where 89 of these tanks came into action. The Ferdinand was perfect for destroying T-34s at the battlefield at a range of 3 km, a role which it performed very well due to its 88mm main armament. The biggest issue the Ferdinand tanks faced was damage from landmines or technical breakdowns. These tanks were incredibly heavy, so it was difficult to tow them off the battlefield. Back in 1943, the recovery tank was a Panzer IV. It could tow another Panzer IV without issues, but it took 5 Panzer IVs to tow one Ferdinand off the battlefield. So most of the time the crew had to do the repairs on the battlefield in order to avoid destroying their tank or letting it be captured by the Soviets in the Soviet counterattack. After the Battle of Kursk, the surviving Ferdinands fought in several rearguard actions in 1943 until they were recalled to be modified and overhauled. Upgrades commenced on 48 of the 50 surviving Virgils. The most notable upgrades were an additional ball-mounted MG34, a new commander's cupola for improved vision, redesigned armor engine grades, and the application of the Zimmerit anti-magnetic mine paste. The first 11 complete and upgraded Ferdinands were ready in February 1944 and were immediately deployed to Italy in response to the Allied landings at Anzio. The other 37 were sent to Ukraine to fight against the Soviets. The Ferdinand tank racked up a knockout loss ratio from 10 to 1. It was claimed by the OKH that it knocked out 320 tanks while only losing 13 Ferdinands. This was mainly due to the high firepower and good protection. However, poor mobility and mechanical unreliability greatly diminished its operation capability. There are currently only 2 surviving Ferdinands, one in the USA and one in Bovington Tank Museum. Conclusion: in my opinion, it had a lot of thick armor, which is good, but the issue comes when it's not properly utilized to its full potential. The hull was designed in 1942, like I stated before, and at the time, for some reason, the Germans never thought of making angled armor, which greatly diminished the effectivity of its armor. I believe that the first German tank which started to use angled armor was the Panther heavy tank, which was also introduced at the Battle of Kursk. It had a very powerful gun which had a good muzzle velocity and was accurate for 3 kilometers, but without visibility it is nothing. It had no good solutions for when it was swarmed by infantry. Must say that most tanks had this issue. And like I said, it was also incredibly heavy, and because of that it was also very slow. Anyway guys, thanks for watching. If you guys have a subject you would like to recommend, feel free to recommend it in the comments. If you liked the video, leave a like and sub, and I'll see you guys in the next video.